Dinosaur? No, it's the Beyond the Film podcast. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great, Teller. How are you doing this fine afternoon?
Just fabulous. It is kind of a crappy, rainy afternoon here in good old southeastern Wisconsin, but in 65 million BC, the weather is hot and the dinosaurs are hungry. Ryan, we are talking about The End of Oak Street, the new film from David Robert Mitchell, who horror fans might recognize as the director of the 2014 cult classic. I don't know if you call it a cult classic, but It Follows, a film that
Okay.
really really took the horror world by storm at first, and now he's teaming up with J.J. Abrams to produce a film about a 1980s family who is suddenly thrust into, or whose neighborhood, I should say, is thrust into an era of dinosaurs, and as you can imagine, chaos ensues. Ryan, what did you think of The End of Oak Street?
I mean, I don't want it to seem like I didn't like it. I definitely liked it. I am a little conflicted 'cause there wasn't some, like, it's not a perfect movie, but it's also like the best movie we've ever gotten that's not Jurassic Park, like dinosaur wise. Like I'm still sitting at like a 4.5 maybe on it.
I mean, that sounds rather negative. It's like, yeah, it's not the greatest movie ever, but I still give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Like,
The movie does a lot right, but like I think some of the pacing is kind of messed up.
Okay.
I don't know how you felt about that. I felt like the movie dragged at very little parts, but also like it just kind of felt inconsistent. Of like, okay, the movie's gonna end. Okay, the movie's not over. Okay, the movie's gonna end. Okay, the movie's not over. Just like continuing the story when like any way to continue the story in any way, shape, or form. But at no point in the movie was I ever like bored. So it's a very weird. I sound very negative on this. I actually like this movie a lot. I don't want to sound negative, but I also don't want to just jump in and be like, "This is the best movie ever."
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the best movie ever either, but I mean, like, I'll just be straight up. I love this movie. I thought it was a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have an answer for maybe why the film feels a little oddly paced, but I think it actually works for what the movie is. But I mean, when it comes to just the premise of throwing dinosaurs into the middle of 1980s suburbia, it does the job and then some. Like, the dinosaur action is really good. It doesn't look terribly dated in terms of the CGI. The CGI looked okay. I mean, it's not like Davy Jones Pirates of the Caribbean level CGI, but I mean, like, it was pretty good. It was surprisingly well acted, and you know, when you get well established totally game actors like Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor to act in your movie, it's going to come out a little bit better than your average creature feature slop. I mean, and it very much feels like those Steven Spielberg Amblin films of the 1980s. Do I think it needed to be set in the 1980s? I don't know. I don't know if it's just like kind of an excuse to, you know, not have them able to look everything up on their cell phones or find out that something's wrong right away by looking at your cell phone and realizing you got no signal. But I mean, for what the premise is, like, do you get to see a bunch of people eaten by dinosaurs? Yes. And frankly, what I'm kind of shocked by is, like, I looked it up after. Apparently, this movie's PG-13, and
Really?
I thought it was a pretty hard PG-13. Like there's
That
some
was some
blood,
pretty brutal.
yeah, there's some violence, and now I'm thinking, like, I kind of wish they would have just like just went for the light R instead of the hard PG-13, because some of those dinosaur kills ended up being really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about more, but yeah, any response to I mean, it seems they're both semi-positive on this
Yeah.
movie.
No,
So
I'm still positive. Like I said, I just don't want it to come in and be like, I loved this movie. It's amazing. It's perfect, because it's getting a lot of praise right now. But like it's not a perfect movie. It's a perfect dinosaur movie that's not Jurassic Park. Like, it's better than the past at least 2 Jurassic World movies. I mean, I'd say literally the last good dinosaur movie was probably the first Jurassic World, and before that, we're gonna differ on this, but I like Jurassic Park 3.
I mean, I'm on the record by saying, like even though I liked Jurassic World when it first came out, I'm on the record as saying like there is no truly great sequel to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Some of them do have their moments. Like uh, I think it's called like an Allosaurus or whatever from Jurassic Park 3 was pretty cool. Like Jurassic World like has its moments. It was nice to see the franchise come back. But you're right. I mean, we just don't have outside of Jurassic Park a lot of really good dinosaur movies, and this feels like it's giving us something new too. It's not just throwing a T-Rex in the middle of a Chrysler Town, Michigan, right? It's giving us a lot of different kinds of dinosaurs. It's giving us new looks for dinosaurs. They all looked kind of furry. They all looked like feathers. So like it definitely reflects a more modern scientific interpretation of what dinosaurs may have looked like. And I mean, I'm glad that the movie doesn't pretend that the dinosaurs are the hero of this movie. Like the dinosaurs are mean. They are villains. They will eat human beings,
Yep.
right? And there is like one creature too that begins in a swimming pool that I thought was just a nice, cool like little addition. Like
Yeah.
there's like David Allen Mitchell. Sorry, is it David Allen or David Robert Mitchell? Very much said like if we're gonna add dinosaurs, we're gonna add a bunch of creatures. Like there's like prehistoric turtles in here. There's basically every major dinosaur you could think of, and he uses them in some really interesting ways. I'm not gonna spoil one of the ways, but like there was one moment where I was laughing my butt off in the theater.
Yeah.
Like that caught me so off guard, and it was just such an endearing moment that worked that ends up working for how the story progresses later on. That I'm just like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm thoroughly impressed, and like maybe it is just because like we all kind of have Jurassic Park fatigue, and we don't really have a lot of other really good movies like this. That it just feels better than it actually is. I mean, even though I do think it is pretty good.
No, I think that I agree with you totally. It felt totally fresh. It felt totally new. It did a lot more of the jump scares than like a
Yeah,
Jurassic Park would, and it felt more like a dinosaur horror movie than a
yeah.
Jurassic Park does. And I think that works really well. I mean, it's really hard to come up with ideas for dinosaur horror movies, quote
Hmm.
unquote. And I think this was really creative, and I was a little nervous, like going into it, of how they would pull this off and like what the story would be on it, if they would explain anything at all. And while it doesn't really give too much of an explanation, I think it gives just enough to keep you into the story and let you have fun.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I mean, it's a well shot movie. Like David Robert Mitchell has proven that, he could shoot horror really well. Like, yeah, I think some of the most effective moments of the movie are like where there are no sound cues and you see dinosaurs kind of running in the background, kind of stalking the characters. Like that stuff's
Hmm.
great. Um, I actually think one of my biggest criticisms of the movie is I think the score is maybe just a little bit too big and boisterous for the movie. Like it's almost
Yeah.
like a high end drama score attached to like a pulpy dinosaur movie. It almost didn't feel right at times. Yeah, and I also agree that like the movie's natural conclusion feels a bit a bit ambiguous, almost like an old school like Twilight Zone episode where like they don't feel they
Yes.
need to explain like every aspect, but like I feel like in an hour and 40-minute movie, which by the way I thought was the perfect amount. Like I felt like I got enough. I know you talked about pacing before. I want to say something on the pacing before, but like I feel like I got enough. The ending maybe isn't the most satisfying thing in the world, but
It's
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to jump in quick. It's so funny that you bring up Twilight Zone because it actually, minus the dinosaurs, reminded me heavily of one of our both favorite episodes. I know you love this episode, Monsters Due on Maple,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it gave me that huge vibes on that.
yeah. I to an extent, right? I mean, Monsters
Yeah.
Are Due on Maple Street is very much like an allegory for, 50s era McCarthyism, rather than the
No,
dinosaurs are not some sort of allegory for like communist sympathies in America at the
of
time. But
course,
like,
but you
yeah,
have that whole like we need to get supplies before the other neighbors do. We need like
sure,
it's
yeah,
neighbor
yeah.
against neighbor at that point,
Hmm.
and I that's one of the first things I thought of with this movie when everything was starting was Monsters Due on Maple with Twilight Zone. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's so funny
and
that you bring that
sadly,
up.
like maybe it's to the movie's benefit to not have too many characters to focus on, but there's really like, despite living in a neighborhood, it doesn't feel like a very outside of maybe that first scene, doesn't really feel like a very like well fleshed out neighborhood. There's the family, and then there's maybe like 2 or 3 other people that they have any sort of meaningful interaction with. And yeah, maybe I I get what you're going for with that dynamic for sure. Um, let's go back to pacing. What were your issues with pacing specifically with this movie?
I felt like every time we got close to a conclusion, we backtracked into continuing the story.
Okay.
Um, and that's kind of hard to go into without going deeper into spoilers for the movie.
Yeah.
Uh, but I felt like we get to a point where we're kind of getting to a conclusion, but then we backtrack and we have to do this first and then go back to this, and oh, we can't do that anymore. We better find something else. And then from there on and there on and there on. And I felt like we did that multiple times. It's always fun to do that like once or twice, but this movie felt like it was kind of like a stepping stone for the story to progress over and over and over and over again.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a totally fair critique. I actually thought you were going to say that the movie actually spends too much time not involved with dinosaurs at the beginning. I would say that the film definitely takes its time going. Like it actually takes some effort in investing you in who each of these characters are. And I mean, I'm not going to argue against the critique you didn't make, but like I think one of the more effective parts of this movie, like storytelling wise, is that because the movie spends a good 25-30 minutes establishing who the characters are, what the family dynamic is, when things eventually happen later in the story, you get satisfying resolutions to those previous established things that you don't always get in creature features, right? Creature features, generally people show up to see creatures eat other people, and as a result you tend not to get a lot of development out of those characters that are just fodder for the creature, right? Where here, like, you got good actors, you got a well-written script. um yeah, maybe not the most consistent thing throughout the course of the film, but I generally, when certain story beats happen, and maybe we're thinking of the same thing,
we are.
I felt devastated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Okay. So I just want to say that
yeah.
like I do not want to spoil this because
No, no,
this
no,
is
I don't either. I'm very much tiptoeing around certain things.
I am very good over my many years of watching movies to predict when these certain things are being red flagged or coming, and
Me neither. Me neither.
I,
I did not see it
not
coming.
one bit. It literally
Nope.
our entire theater
Yep.
gasped and
Yep.
groaned. Like I literally, there were multiple people in the theater that sounded like they were going to vomit because of
Yeah.
how guttural of a
Yeah.
gut punch that this was.
Totally was not expecting it at all.
Not one bit.
If you haven't seen the movie, you'll come back, and I think you'll be able to kind of figure out what we're talking about.
For
Now,
sure.
you could argue that something towards the end of the movie kind of negates that impact if you want to argue it, but I thought it kind of worked for me in the like Spielbergian Amblin sensibility. But
Let me tell you, the second that it happened, I knew how the movie was gonna end. I guessed it immediately.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
all we're gonna say on this whole
Yep.
topic because I don't
That's
want to
fine.
give too much away.
No,
But
no,
I agree with
absolutely.
you. That is one of the best shots. I immediately start talking about it again. One of
Yeah.
the best shots of that type of thing
I
happening. I've
agree.
seen it in many years.
Yep. I 100% agree. Yeah, no, I'm really glad you like this. You know what, Ryan? I think I'm starting to rub off on you. I think I'm finally starting to, show you the ways of good quality cinema, and just to have fun instead of, going and poking out on things. Like, maybe we finally do that rewatch of The Materialist. Maybe you're finally coming around here, buddy. Like,
No,
it's
but I definitely rewatched Evil Dead with you to bring you
yeah.
to my side. And maybe after the Evil Dead, we go ahead and we give the Ice Cream Man a little shot.
I'm not watching that movie. I have literally zero interest in watching that movie. But I will say the movie, you and your dad, you and your wife's dad didn't stick around for this part, but there was actually a nice little ode to David Robert Mitchell's father at the end of the movie, and obviously it's going to be a little bit after when this episode comes out, but as of recording this just last night, we lost Michelle Trachtenberg, we lost Hayden Panettiere, and I did a first time watch of Ice Princess, and I gotta say, thank you for coming to this Ice Princess review, but not bad. Not bad, Ryan.
My wife has it downstairs. I have not ever watched the movie, but when I told her you and Lizzie were watching it, she said that she loves that movie and she has it downstairs in the basement if I ever want to see it.
It's not what I expected. I mean, if I would have looked and thought about the cover of the movie more, I probably could have figured out where the story was going to go. But like, I didn't know it was going to be like she's a science nerd who like gets into ice skating because of physics and then ends up being really good. I'm like, okay, that's kind of an odd.
Speaking of Hidden Panettiere,
Yeah.
rest in peace.
Yeah,
I
R.I.P.
am actually a huge fan. I genuinely am.
Yeah, she was great in Scream 4 and 6. Right?
Something that I never knew that she actually was. And I was never a fan of the series, but did you ever play Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, she voiced one of the characters. Yep, in there. I always remember her as the little girl from Remember the Titans.
Never knew that either.
Oh yeah, and what's funny is because Remember the Titans is very, very loosely based on a real story, and the real life girl that she played also died like in her mid-30s. So yeah, quite unfortunate. But yeah, I just wanted to shout that out.
I also want to say we lost somebody else actually, and this happened in February.
Oh,
but it was just announced yesterday. And that is Screaming Mad George actually died. The horror. He's a Japanese man that did the effects for like Nightmare on Elm Street, like the faces pushing to the wall and everything.
That's not cool. That's unfortunate. But
well, yeah.
No, you know what's funny? I was just having a conversation with Lizzie the other day, and she's like, "Why don't you guys ever talk about other stuff you watch, like outside of the main review?" And I don't know.
No time. Cut the episode.
I don't know. One of my favorite movie podcasts that I listen to does like a little quickies segment at the beginning of the episode. Maybe just a brief thing before we go into the movie. Thoughts? Maybe if we get enough response in the comments, talking about what else we're watching on our letterbox, let us know down below, and let us know if you liked the end of Oak Street. Ryan, anything else on the end of Oak Street before we tell the folks when they should go see this movie?
I have nothing on it, but I will start and say that I think you should catch this movie in theaters if you can. I think it's a fun theater movie. I like if you can't make it, that's fine. I don't think you're gonna lose anything watching it at home, but definitely catch the movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in lockstep with you. Like I think it's definitely worth a theatrical experience. I think it'd be really fun to go see in the theaters. But I know right now there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. You're going back to school. You got plans. Like if you catch this on HBO Max in like 2 months, like you'll still have fun with it. But if you can, get out and support this in theaters. I think it's a good movie. I think it's got a lot to offer a wide audience. And yeah, it was a good time.
Completely agree with you.
Awesome. What's coming out next, Ryan? What are we reviewing next?
I don't know. What is next? I feel like something is next week.
Yeah.
Next week we have the amazing, the wonderful, the super exciting Can't Miasma.
Oh, Can't Me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then we pushed Insidious back a week. Okay, cool. So going to be some horror episodes coming out over the next couple weeks. Excellent. As we sadly approach the return to school. You know.
Yay! I'm not a teacher, and I want the kids out of my stores during the day.
Fair enough.
Let me go to Walmart in peace.
Okay. Are the hooligan kids just like ruining your Walmart experience, Ryan?
Of course. Don't you know that only the top tier, most polite people go to Walmart?
Yeah.
Catch you guys next week for a wonderful episode of Teenage Love, Death, and Sex at Can't Miasma, I believe it's called.
Yeah, it's something like that, but should be good. I'm excited for that one.
It overtook Obsession on Rotten Tomatoes. Catch you guys next week.